Okay, probably I will borrow a quote from two unicorns in Indonesia. The first is mulai aja dulu, pasti ada jalan.
And that means you start first and there's always a way.
Yeah,
Okay.
from two unicorn in Indonesia.
Hello everyone, welcome to Block 71 Podcast Indonesia edition, where we aim to deliver practical insights to startups landscape in Indonesia. In this podcast series, we'll feature seasoned founders, VCs and industry experts, offering real-world guidance on various company building aspects. Indonesia, as we know, is one of the biggest nations in Southeast Asia, with over 270 million people, making up to about 40% of ASEAN population. It's a big country, but it's also a very complicated country to tap into. My name is Aditya, and I'll be your host today. I'm a co-founder of Ravenry, a market research company that's helping companies around the globe to enter Southeast Asia market. I think today I want to focus on Indonesia. We have with us our guest,
Sonny Sudaryana, Program Coordinator of Kominfo, which is Indonesian Ministry of Communications and Informatics.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Sonny.
Thank you, Aditya.
Thank you. To kick this off, perhaps it's good for us to know a bit more about yourself. So a bit of a background about yourself, but also some of the great stuff that you've done at Kominfo, which is the Ministry of Communications and Informatics in Indonesia. And I think that will give a bit of an understanding for the audience in terms of what you do and what Kominfo does as well.
Yeah, thank you, Aditya. My name is Sonny Sudaryana. I work in the Ministry of ICT. We call it Kominfo in Indonesia. Almost 13 years as a public service. And then the first job that I do is this is very funny, about internet filtering.
Oh.
So when I joined the ministry, my first job is how to block negative content such as pornography, gambling, and hate speech, something like that. And then I do that around 3 years.
So this was back in like the early 2010. 11, yep.
10 or 11. And then around 2014, 15, 15, I think, the new president is coming, President Jokowi, and then there are many changes in the ministry, and then our ministry at that time, Pak Rudiantara, assigned me to a new job to learn about startups. I don't know nothing about startups at that moment, because I'm my background is engineer. And I have master degree on engineering, and then I don't know anything about startup and businesses. So in 2015, we prepared the president visit to Silicon Valley to learn about the digital ecosystem.
And what startup is actually.
And what is startup is actually. 2015 and then 2016, back and forth to Silicon Valley. I still don't understand about startups. So at that moment, I decided every week, I didn't go full on the office. I spent around 2 or 3 days working on startup office. So I went to Gojek, I went to Tokopedia, just hang out in there. Just sit. I doesn't know any people in that office. So every week I spent 2 or 3 days to more understand about that, because the minister said you have to know the ecosystem that you want to help. So I did that around 2 years, and suddenly I know all the players.
Just by hanging out.
Just by hanging out.
In the Gojek office.
Everyone introduced me. This is the government guy. This is Sonny from the Kominfo.
Probably like no one knew what you were doing.
No one knew. No one. not everyone like the government guy.
Yeah.
It's
Are they gonna like catch us doing something by GE or something? Yeah.
to probably they think to regulate.
Yeah.
Too much regulation.
Yeah.
So that, but we try to shift that view
The
about
mindset,
the mindset about the government by doing that. So actually, we spent around until around 2016, 17, I think. And one thing, we went to Silicon Valley with Nadiem Makarim, William Tanuwijaya, Andrew Darwis, and then the founder of Traveloka, I think. So then nothing at that moment. So that we learn about the landscape and how to bring the knowledge and build the ecosystem in Indonesia.
So you're actually one of the first few guys that is involved in the startup ecosystem in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Perfect. That is perfect, and that's probably why you're here as well today, to help the startup founders in globally to understand more about the startup ecosystem in Indonesia. So thank you so much, Pa. Perhaps if you can also give us a bit of background in terms of what Kominfo role is in bringing in foreign investments into Indonesia, and I think in this case also bringing in more startups into Indonesia. Yeah.
So basic function for Kominfo is, the first is to build the infrastructure. We cannot talk about digital economy without the connectivity, right? So for the last 10 years, Kominfo is focused on deliver internet penetration in all across Indonesia. We have built probably around 500,000 kilometer fiber optics. Probably 9 times around the world, the length of the cable. And then we also built connectivity 70,000 villages, around 550 4G BTS transmitter. And also we prepare the satellite, high throughput satellite, Satria 1 and Satria 2. So this we have built to connect right now all probably 78% to 112 million, I think, already connected to internet.
212 million people in Indonesia.
In Indonesia already connected to internet, around 78%. And then the second is to prepare the utilize of the technology. As I mentioned, my background is doing internet filtering. So
very important job.
It's a very exciting job. So we not only block the negative content, but we also have a program. We call it digital literacy. We teach the people how to use the technology properly, based on the function that the founders aim to. So like a simple how to use social media, how to utilize e-commerce, something like that. There are 3 basic, there are 4 basic pillars: digital safety, digital skill, digital ethics, and digital culture. So basically that's to prepare the market. I think in my terms is to prepare the market for the startups to enter.
Okay, so in summary then, the role of Kominfo, or the Ministry of Communications and Informatics in Indonesia, is to build the infrastructure that is required, but also to educate the markets so that the foreign startups can actually enter the country more conveniently, I would say.
The local or regional or global startup can enter.
Yep, and has access already, because I think as a nation that is of like 18,000 islands, it's very hard to be connected physically. So at least digitally, that's good enough.
I think we learn from the journey of the e-commerce culture in Indonesia. it took them more than 10 years and billions of dollars in campaign marketing to change the mindset of the people in Indonesia. If I click this, the goods will be delivered to my home. To make sure that it's happening.
That is happening.
Because nobody believed at that moment. Nobody believed that Tokopedia will success because Bukalapak will be
of the logistic challenges.
So everybody said that startups burning money. No, they are shaping our culture.
I agree.
They invest in the market. So right now, if a new startups wants to deploy anything, it's easier for them. To onboard on their application, on to be their users.
I remember the digital wallets war in 2017, 18, 19, where everyone is offering 50%, 100% cashback. And I'm actually also a big believer that is actually preparing the markets for the technology, and unfortunately it has to be done via burning money, right? But I think we're a lot more prepared now to adopt.
And the government see that. So the government also invest in terms of program. So the startups can focus on product. To build a product, and so we focus on to educate the market.
Okay, so I think maybe my next question is to do with Indonesia as a market. So I think we've talked about the role of Kominfo, and I think it's only as important as well if we also talk about Indonesia as a market from probably your perspective and also Kominfo's perspective, and what actually makes it unique as a country compared to if we just limit it to just Southeast Asia, or you want to talk about it globally. I think that's probably up to your interpretation.
Indonesia is unique because of the heterogeneity of the people. Because it's an island, so it's very different. If you go to Java, if you go to Kalimantan, Sumatra, the vibe is very different. The people is very different.
The language we speak is different.
It's very challenging, but also it's a very interesting, unique market. And when I say about this, I remember a story around 2018. I met with the founders, and I said, I'm from Indonesia. And then wow, Indonesia, I'm very thankful for Indonesia. Why? What do you do? I have a company. I think the company is about children's song, something like that. My company almost bankrupt, but when survive because of Indonesia. What's happened? We survived because of one song, and it went viral from Indonesia.
Is it the Baby Shark?
Yeah, it's the Baby Shark.
Oh my God!
This Indonesia market. If you deploy anything, you will. I think a lot of companies, a lot of application is viral from Indonesian market. This is very unique, I think.
I think also I keep telling my foreign friends that Indonesia is not Jakarta and Indonesia is also not Bali. So if you when you say you want to enter Indonesia, which part of Indonesia are you actually entering? Because the strategy that you might want to deploy when you enter in Jakarta and when you enter Bali and when you enter the second and third tier cities in Indonesia would be super, super different, right?
Yeah. But Jakarta is also a miniature of Indonesia.
It is. It has everything.
It has everything. So it just consists of people from Sumatra, from Kalimantan. But if you want to deploy, it's very different. If it depends on your solution or your target market.
You really have to understand the local culture and what they believe in,
and also the local government.
Local governments as well. Yes, that's a really good point. Because I think Indonesia is managed by layers of government organizations, and if you enter a certain city, they might have a different regulation compared to the other cities as well.
Not precisely regulation, but the goals of the leaders,
the objectives of the leaders at the time in that particular country or city. Sorry,
like one province, like West Java. is around 50 million people. It's like a one
That's
nation.
10 times of Singapore already.
It's only one province. We have 38 provinces right now.
Yep. Okay. It does make Indonesia unique. The population size, but also the complexity in each of the areas in Indonesia itself, right? Yeah. I guess my next question to continue that discussion as well is, how do we compare to other countries in Southeast Asia when it comes to what makes us unique? Because we have Thailand, we have Vietnam, a lot of companies from the European markets or the American markets or Australia. They always talk about, we want to enter Southeast Asia, but which country in Southeast Asia? It's at least as a market research company, we get asked that question a lot. We want to enter Southeast Asia. It's a very unique, interesting, growing market, but which country should we tap into? So I think maybe my question to you is, why should foreign companies looking at entering Indonesia compared to Vietnam or Thailand, or I guess the most obvious options are that or Malaysia?
I think the first is we are the biggest in the region, around 40% plus.
Yep.
ASEAN is Indonesia, and then we also have what we call demographic bonus.
Yep.
So
the productive population.
40% is around 30 years old.
Yep.
That's a very good engine for economic growth.
Yep.
If we prepare right. And then also probably the language, Melayu or Indonesia, and then the text is Latin. So it's more you don't have to change your app's text.
Okay, yeah. So
Like,
you can practically read, even though you don't know what it means, but you can
like
practically
Russian.
read it. Yeah. Or Thai.
Or Thai.
Yeah.
And then also the government is very focused on building the digital economy.
Yeah.
Indonesia basically the 16th largest economy. We are member of G20, but largely based on export commodity like gold, mining, and then for the next, the government is focusing how to transform all this from the natural resources to the digital, transform to digital. We've seen a lot of unicorn born because of Indonesian market.
Yeah.
And we see that opportunity that government wants to have more unicorn to born in the Indonesia, and how to facilitate them so can contribute more to the digital economy of Indonesia.
Okay, perfect. So you mentioned a little bit about the bonus demographic in Indonesia, right? So most of Indonesians are around the age of 30 years old, right? Which makes it really attractive for economic growth. But I guess my question next is, if any startups or companies out there are looking into tapping into the market, what are the most attractive, or what are the key demographic segments, be it age, income level, location, that are actually most attractive for them?
In terms of sector, or
in terms of the demographic that anyone can look at. So if you look
location.
at no, just the age or the income level or location, even like, is it Jakarta, or is it female between the age of 25 to 40, or income level, we're targeting the lower income level, or even like Indonesia is very big in the MSME industry as well, and a lot of people thinks that MSME in Indonesia is also, we have 65 million MSMEs. So I think maybe we just wanted to get your inputs on if any companies looking into tapping into Indonesia, what's the most attractive demographic?
It's a very hard question because Indonesia is very diverse. We have 700 plus language, and around 1,000 1,100 ethnic groups. So it's very, very hard to focus on your question, yeah. But I see it this
What's
way.
your favorite? If you were to like build a startup, what's your favorite segment to tap into? I suppose then maybe that's.
I think Indonesia, I see like Gojek, and then other startups that create jobs because of bonus demographic and focus. The first thing is startup that create jobs indirectly, right? Like I never imagined one company like Gojek, Grab create more than 4 million jobs.
Yeah.
Because we on demographic bonus, right?
Yeah.
We need more jobs.
Yeah.
And then one company like Tokopedia help 10 million MSME selling online. This is just one and two company.
Yeah.
It's create jobs, and then also I see how the startups change the social level of the jobs. I mean this way. Right now, we see Gojek driver, is different social status, right?
Yes.
At that moment, 10 years ago, probably is for me embarrassed if I
become a
Gojek driver.
Yeah.
But right now, because of technology, I using my cell phone. I have a jacket on, and then have a similar people like have jobs like me.
Yeah. There's like strong community as well.
Community also. This is social. I want to highlight that on farmers and agriculture. Nobody wants to be farmer right now, young generation. But if we deploy them with technology like e-fisheries, e-fisheries is one of the biggest unicorn in Indonesia. And the numbers are all positive. The numbers is great, and also have a very big impact on the agriculture sector. And like I said, the social status, if you use technology, people will see you differently. Not just another farmer from the village, but a smart farmer. So if you go to college and then you back to your village and be a agri-tech guy, is a very.
And you're like suddenly you're like you lifted up. Okay, that's very interesting. I've never thought of that.
I see Gojek driver different. I see people delivery is very different. These are professional jobs, and then probably the next sector is this is very big population, lifestyle and health. Lifestyle and health, also education.
So when you say lifestyle and health, do you mean creating jobs for people in that sector, or
to set the culture, healthy lifestyle? Because after COVID, everybody is very different. Everyone is going to gym. It's very everyone concerned about what they eat.
Gelora Bung Karno.
It's very and also a lot of gyms in Indonesia. And then the last one is education. Education, because after pandemic, we can learn the culture is shaping it. It's transformed into I think we can learn anything through the internet. That's also opportunity.
So education for the kids,
the young generation, and also the practical education, how to enter the work, how to
prepare them for the workforce. Yep.
That's from one point of view. bonus demography only, not from the other sector.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So basically, in summary, then there's no one key demographic segment in Indonesia because we're so big.
Yeah.
Basically, depending on your solution and what you really want to tap into, there's always a market for you. But I think your summary has been, if you can help lift up social status of people who's like in a particular sector, then that's probably a big bonus for the country as well.
and also Indonesia is a big country, have a lot of problems. So it's opportunity
Pick your problem.
So it's when you see a lot of problems, you see a lot of opportunity.
Yes,
So,
correct. Okay. I think one thing that is really interesting for me is the farmers and agriculture as well. That it is still seen as something that is, low paying and no one wants to do it, but because of e-fisheries and potentially there's more coming up, then it is seen as something that is again lifting up their social status. That's probably super interesting.
Yeah. Because we also need more food, we need more for the big population, we need to produce our own food.
Yep. Perfect. So you talked a lot about digital. When you put digital in like a job, then it suddenly becomes a better job, right?
Yeah.
So I guess maybe the next question is to do with
It's a cool job.
It's a cooler job. But I guess the next question would be around the internet and mobile penetration influence in the behavior of the consumers or the population in Indonesia. How does it impact the Indonesians?
I remember when the first iPhone launched. I have
this
my
is a long time ago.
around 2007.
Yeah.
It's changing people, changing the behavior. Not too. I think not too much because it's very expensive. I see a lot of changes around 2012 or 13 in Indonesia because the deployment of 4G. Before 4G, everyone watch YouTube on their computers through their Wi-Fi, not from the phone. Right? After 4G, everything is
just mobile phone.
Yeah. Everything
mobile first, basically. Yeah.
So the changes of the technology, and also after 4G deploy, there become a lot of startups born because of the technology. Yeah. Before I see a lot of probably if you switch this to 3G, a lot of applications will not run.
Will crash.
And I see for the next probably I don't know what's happened if we deploy 5G. Right now, around 5 cities in Indonesia already deploy 5G. It's 100 times faster.
Wow.
It will open another opportunity for innovation.
Yep.
And we see after mobile, we see that mobile penetration and then the technology. We also wants to be as a player, as a Indonesia, not only as a market. We want to be as a player also. That's why around 2016, after back from the Silicon Valley and learn about the startups ecosystem, we built a program called 1000 Startups.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, imagine one startups can create 1 million of jobs. What if we have a 1000 startup like that?
Yep.
It can help Indonesia economy.
Yep.
That's the spirit. And then we also built the program in all across Indonesia, not only Jakarta, because we want to have all young generation in Indonesia have the same opportunity to learn. Right now we run in 13 hubs in 38 province, and then also for the next we built another program called Next Indonesia Unicorn, around 2018 I think, and help startup to raise fund to connect with the people that have money and all resources. And we see this is the early stage, and then this is the later stage for the Nexicon and Hub ID also for the business matchmaking. But we see there's a missing in the middle. That's why we built another program called Startup Studio. It's focused on product market fit. So a lot of startups fail on the product market fit journey. So we help them a lot in that area to make the survival rate of the startups more higher in Indonesia.
Mm-hmm. So the programs that you have in the Kominfo, I guess we have a bit of a segue here, but I think the programs that because you mentioned a few programs that are actually really interesting. There are the 1000 Startups program. We also have the Next Icon, which is dedicated Next Econ. Sorry, that's dedicated more to help startups to scale up. And we also have Hub ID and Startup Studio that is mostly helping startups to find product market fits. Are these actually more for local startups, or can foreign startups also tap into this program? And if not, how can they benefit from what Kominfo is trying to do?
We are not limited foreign owned, but we focus on the founders. If there are any Indonesian founders in the startups, you can join the program.
So the key here is it has to benefit.
Has to
benefit Indonesia. And
entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship. Yep.
So if you have one of your co-founders is Indonesian, you can join the program and have the benefit from the program. But in Hub ID, we also open. This is like a business matching and investment event. We also invite regional startups. So we see Hub ID as a ASEAN program event. So to help the regional startups to scale.
Oh, that's actually very interesting. Okay.
We held it every year in Bali, around September probably.
Mm-hmm. And is that targeting specific startup size, or can any?
We have to focus. The first early stage is Hub ID. The later stage is Nexicon.
Okay. So any like foreign startups is looking into learning more about the country, or like how to collaborate within the region can actually try to join this program. I suppose we're not
also we invite,
promoting the program in a way.
We invite also prominent venture capitalists globally, around 100 VCs and investment companies to join the program. And also we curated the venture capital. We also create the startups, around 100 plus startups and 100 plus VCs.
And this is of any industries, basically. You're not limiting to just solving whatever problem, but anything basically. Okay, perfect. I guess for the audience then, this is something that you can also tap into and you can look into as well. I think maybe I do want to move a little bit from the consumer markets, and I do want to look into specific sectors that there's a lot of companies, foreign companies wanting to enter Indonesia. That's probably like a well-known fact out there that a lot of them wanted to enter the country, right? But I suppose in terms of the sectors itself, my question is, do you know of any specific sectors where foreign startups have a strong advantage in the Indonesian market due to the global expertise? So,
probably right now is on AI. Company that AI based, and also health because a lot of problems in that can be solved through that technology in that area.
And that is an area that we are lacking in when it comes to having the solution as well. Yep. Okay. So AI based and healthcare.
Um, my next question is, I guess, beyond the traditional sectors, are there any emerging trends or industries in Indonesia that foreign startups should be aware of? I think in the earlier we've talked about, the agriculture, the bonus demography, and all that. But is there any emerging sectors or emerging trends that foreign companies or
Yeah.
startups need to be aware of?
If you see, you have to see what the political like the government wants to go, right? Just like for the next 5 years, probably focus on food, agriculture, something like that, and also manufacture.
Like the EV.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also startup that help the manufacturer more be efficient. A lot of factory is close in Indonesia, right? Because it's not efficient in Indonesia.
Yeah.
How I see a lot of startups that help to transform the conventional factory to be more efficient, to be more fast, and also how to leverage the
Technology
for the old or conventional factory. That's one thing, and also logistic.
It's a very hard problem to solve.
Problem in Indonesia for the logistic because of the island and the size of the nation. This is fun fact about Indonesia. It took 12 hours flight if you want to go from west part to the east part of Indonesia. 12 hours for flight. If you
and that's like with by plane,
commercial plane. So if you compare the size of Indonesia, it's as big as United States, east coast to west coast. But we consist of a lot of ocean, right?
Yeah, so a lot of our islands are actually separated by the ocean, which makes it a lot harder.
Not on you have to use boat, you have to use airplane, you have to use railways.
You can't build a bridge.
Yeah, you cannot build a bridge.
Okay. I guess if we look at, so I think we speak a bit about sectors beyond just the traditional, but I think a lot of the stuff in the media nowadays is actually around the e-commerce sector in Indonesia, right? I guess if you can give us a bit of an overview in terms of what role does e-commerce actually play in the Indonesian markets, and are there any unique considerations for online retailers compared to physical stores? So maybe you can also talk about the movement from offline to offline again, or the trends and the consumer preference.
Yeah, we see a lot of problems going on when we from offline to online, like a case like TikTok in Indonesia.
Yep.
I never imagined. This is all because of technology. We never imagined one housewife selling something in TikTok
and earning millions,
15 billion rupiah in one day. I never imagined that could happen.
And she's just at home, basically.
She's just at home. And that's happened.
Yeah. So basically, you're talking about social commerce.
Something like that. Because it's an issue also in Indonesia. And then the regulation came out, and then more collaboration between the global and the local startups. Right? TikTok joined collaboration with Tokopedia, something like that.
Yep.
And then we see impact on that transformation. We see a lot of market is more decline, like Tanah Abang, this impact from the
So the
e-commerce.
Tanah Abang is the
so,
offline
yeah,
traditional
offline,
stores. Yeah.
offline traditional store is more decline, and then we see as a government we see how to manage this, how to balance offline and online, because it's a lot of Indonesian people still rely on the conventional economy. So how to manage this, to balance this?
Does it actually apply to most parts in Indonesia, or are we looking at just the first tier cities in terms of the e-commerce?
Only the first and the
penetration?
second tiers.
So like the smaller cities in Indonesia actually have not been touched heavily by e-commerce.
For the like a mall or market, right?
Yeah.
But on the buyer side, it's easier for them to buy online.
So actually, like you see the behavior for the third tier cities in Indonesia, so that they are actually relying a lot more on the online nowadays. Whereas
And the problem is logistic for them.
because they can't actually see the goods anywhere. They might as well get it delivered to their house. Okay. But in like the bigger cities, they are still keen to like see the goods and have a touch and feel.
Yeah, still have
the
that.
goods as well. Because of the access for them to be able to do that.
Yeah, easier for them to go to the shop or the see.
Do you know if they still end up buying things online anyway?
Probably it's still. For my side, I just look at it and then I buy it online.
And then get all
Just
the
to check.
cashbacks. And all that.
Yeah, it's easier.
Okay. So for the players out there then, when they wanted to enter Indonesia, so some of the unique considerations would be be mindful of the online to offline behavior of the Indonesian consumers, and also like the different behaviors in different cities in Indonesia.
Yeah,
Does that sound like?
It's very different because the culture, and then probably a story about Uber and probably Gojek. Yeah, there's a lot of people in Indonesia doesn't have credit cards.
Yeah, the penetration is super. I think 5%.
That's why startups should look at. So when like Uber is a big company compared with Gojek, but Gojek understand more about the behavior. So at that moment doesn't use a credit card but using cash, right? And it's also a problem. Become a big problem. But it's a good problem. And then GoPay born because of that problem, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to understand Indonesia culture, Indonesia behavior, and then also regulation. Regulation. How to manage and how to navigate around the regulation.
Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned a bit about cash earlier, because I think cash on delivery for e-commerce players is actually big. It's a big pain point, but also a big opportunity in Indonesia, right? So how do you see that the behavior of people using cash on delivery? Is that something that you feel like people should be aware of, or?
It's very innovative, something like that. But usually become problems. We see a lot of problem like went viral. People doesn't want to pay, something like that. But I believe from that problems will create solution that more create opportunity. Like I said before, like GoPay is born because of problems with the cash payment.
Yep. Very interesting. So I think e-commerce in Indonesia is a very, very interesting sector to tap into, with like a huge market. But also with that also comes their own, its own challenges, like payments, logistics, and everything that comes with it, right? Okay. You also did mention a little bit about the political and regulatory a little bit. So if you wanted to tap into emerging sectors. You have to see where the, where people in the politics are leaning towards, So when it comes to political and regulatory environments in Indonesia, how does that actually influence business operations and foreign investment?
I just want to talk about what's regulation in our ministry, right?
Yep.
For the Ministry of ICT or Kominfo, we are focused on the change of the culture. So, in terms of as a ministry, we change our way in doing things. So, we less regulate, because if you regulate too much, innovation cannot
Not
flourish, and focus more on accelerate and facilitate. So all the policies of the ministry focus on facilitate and accelerate. Like I mentioned before, 1,000 startups, how to facilitate the young generation to build their own companies and startups. And the second, like a startup studio and Hub ID is focused on accelerate the startup and scale them up. So more on facilitate and accelerate, less regulate.
Is this specifically for Kominfo, or is this across different like government bodies as well?
Probably this is focused on Kominfo.
On Kominfo
So,
specifically, yeah.
like a startup, you don't have to have a permit to build the startups in our sector. You just have to report.
Is this for foreign startups as well?
All
or
startups.
All startups. So anyone can just come into the country
And report.
and report that I've got these startups, but there's
startups. This is for the customer protection. Everyone that have their business in Indonesia, like data privacy rules, something like that. And then who's the man in charge if there's something happen. This is the background to just report your company
to Kominfo.
Okay,
so probably for the benefit of the audience, because most of them will be foreign companies, how do they apply or how do they report about
this? Apa ya namanya?
Is there like a portal that you go into and like
there's a portal,
complete details? Or
we call PSE.
PSE. Does that stand for?
In Indonesia, Pendaftaran Sistem Elektronik.
Okay. So you just
fill in the form, and then the governor will acknowledge, and it's simple as that.
So like a 5 second, not 5 seconds, but like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Form application.
If you have all the document ready, you will finish in 5 minutes.
Okay, perfect. So they do. So the Kominfo really makes it easier for foreign startups. Also. Okay, perfect. I guess we're moving on to the founders, and myths, because a lot of the founders out there, when they think about Indonesian markets, there are a lot of things that they think are true, where it may not be true. So maybe if you can give us like 3 myths about Indonesia for the founders out there, that seems to be like, the rumors that you've been hearing about, Indonesia from people that you've met outside of Indonesia, that is actually untrue.
Probably a lot of negative stigma to enter Indonesia, because a lot of startup founders, probably from global, doesn't know how to navigate. If you enter Indonesia, how to navigate the government side. There are 2 government in the level national level, and under the government level in the province. So it's very different to navigate. It's very challenging also. But I think with the right partner, with the right uh, people that can help the startup to enter Indonesia market and navigate. It will be much more convenient for the startup or the founders that want to understand and enter Indonesia market.
So stigma number one is the government regulation in Indonesia is preventing foreign startups to enter
Yeah,
the country, but it is actually not true.
is
It just depends on whether you know who
and
to
how to navigate
talk to and
around
how
it.
to navigate around it. Maybe you can give an example on like when a foreign startup is looking into entering the country, what's the first step that they have to do?
Probably this is simple. I see a lot of startup have a same question. So the ministry right now, we have built a landing pad. It's like a landing pad for startups, for the global partners. If you want to understand more about Indonesia market and landscape, we have like a office in near the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
We call it markas. Markas in English is mean headquarters. So we already connect around 13 hubs across Indonesia. So if you guys wants to tap in to more understand about the Indonesia landscape, probably you change landing to the ministry, Kominfo, and talk with us.
So Kominfo, which is under you, is probably the first step for the foreign
Yeah,
startups, and that is through the landing pad,
Yeah.
which will then connect the foreign startups into 13 different hubs across Indonesia that probably will cater for different markets in the country as well.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one way we can help that.
Mm-hmm. And is this like an online something that we can do online, or do people have to like go into the markas or the headquarter and like knock on the door and make an appointment? Or
We have several program also, collaborate with a lot of countries, a lot of startup mission from a lot of country from Europe or from Southeast Asia is already partnered with us. But we can also have a online event, something like that. If you want to understand, tap in, want to know more about the Indonesian market. But also we have a regular event which will be held in Bali. We call it Hub ID. It's
that
a
Hub ID events in
ID
Bali in
event
September.
in September.
Yep.
This is for investor want to know about Indonesian market. You can join there, and also if you're interested at any time, you just can by to our office
To the markas.
to the
called landing
markets or
pad.
Landing pad.
Okay, perfect. Can I ask for another myth?
Ah.
Let's change it to two. We'll change it to two. Otherwise, we're not going to finish the podcast.
The second myth probably Indonesian people. They are all the same. That's when you see Jakarta, if you can conquer Jakarta, you can deploy all
same
the
strategy.
No, it's very different.
Yep.
It's very different. So understand more about the culture, because Java only. Java, there are three main provinces around. West Java is 50 million and people, and probably is the character is the same, but if you go to East Java, it's very different.
It's
The
very
people
different,
is very more challenging than the West Java. And also if you go more to the east, because different about the education side also make a lot of difference on their behavior around technology is different also. That's why we deploy the digital literacy program to help them more understand about the digital.
Yeah.
So I think the myth to think Indonesia is a one big market and to treat all the same is a very
Yeah.
wrong.
So the second myth is Indonesia is not one big market.
Yeah.
It's a market that is super fragmented, and needs to be treated differently,
Yeah.
whichever city or type of cities that you're tapping into this place. Perfect. Okay. Starting with that, if there is like one, as always, message that you would like to give to the foreign startups or companies that are looking into entering Indonesia, what would that be, and what they should really take note of?
Okay, probably I will borrow a quote from two unicorns in Indonesia. The first is mulai aja dulu, pasti ada jalan.
And that means you start first, and there's always a way.
Yes,
Okay.
from two unicorn in Indonesia.
Okay. Starting with that, thank you so much, Sonny.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
I think maybe if I wanted to close with a summary about Indonesia. Indonesia is again a massive country with a lot of people in the country, but we're not to be treated as one target market. So if you're looking into entering the country, be mindful of the differences in the country itself, in the population, in the infrastructure readiness. The government of Indonesia, particularly in this case Kominfo, has been doing everything they can to ensure that the access to Indonesia is as easy as possible. A lot of programs, they're preparing for the infrastructure and the education to the markets. So with that, I would like to welcome you all to enter the country. If you have any questions about Indonesia or about how to tap into the markets, you can always talk to Innovation Factory or go to Kominfo's website. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aditya.